Tonight on the Vince Dao Show, Chris from MrBeast has turned into an LGBT ABC transformer. I will tell you why this entire story is actually a lot more important than you think. Donald Trump mingles with influencers at UFC while Biden is now hiring influencers to work for him. What does it mean? This is quite important. And I just got off of a great Newsmax hit with Rob Schmidt. We will play some of it here tonight so you guys can see it. I don't know how many people actually tuned in. And that's all coming up tonight on the Vince Dao Show. Stay tuned, everyone. Oops. Okay, there we go. Intro. We are live tonight from the great state of Florida. Welcome everyone to the Vince Dao Show. I am your host, Vince Dao. And before I begin, everyone be sure to leave a like on the stream and the show and subscribe if you are new to the channel. We do this show live every night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, so be sure to join us. Obviously tonight, because I just got off a hit with Newsmax, we pushed it back, which let me know. I mean, we're testing out a different start time. Does 8:30 work better for you guys than 8 p.m.? Let me know. I don't know. I'll take some feedback kind of on that front. But let's see how many likes we're at. We're at 30 likes with 62 viewers. Let's get those likes up to 50 likes. And while we wait to do that, how's your guys' day been going? Let me know how your day and your Easter weekend obviously is going in the chat. Easter weekend obviously was a very great thing, but today, so I just got off the Newsmax hit, okay, and you're wondering why was I a minute late? I was running over to the printer to print out the notes for tonight's show, and I broke a glass. I broke a glass right on the carpet, and then, it shattered everywhere. So how does a glass break on carpet? I have no idea. And then I was trying to pick it up and sliced my hand open. So that's what we have. But yeah, hope your day's been going a little bit better than that, at least the past few hours. But all right, let's get into tonight's show. Now, if you want to support the show, or if you have a question or comment that you want read and answered, feel free to send it in via a super chat. I will check the chats regularly throughout the night in between our segments. And as usual, we will have our Q&A portion at the end of the show where I interact with the chat for a few minutes. So again, if you want to support, if you want comments or questions read and answered, consider sending in a super chat. All right, before I start, let me check the time real quick. What time is it? Oh, that's right. It's the hour of Dao. Let the Vinsanity commence. We are back after the long weekend. Good to see you guys. All right. Well, while we wait for people to kind of pour in here for the stream, I figured we might as well start with the Newsmax hit I just did tonight, and just play it, and then we'll kind of get into the regular show. But yeah, just got off a great news hit with Rob Schmidt, and we discussed actually a very important topic that I don't discuss enough on the show, and I really should, and it's this issue of ESG and CEI, which is the Corporate Equity Index. And this actually explains a big reason why we have these woke corporations, because you may look at these corporations like Bud Light, for instance. Bud Light picking up Dylan Mulvaney. What is the thinking there? That is the most suicidal thing you could ever do for a company. Well, understand, who is Bud Light really trying to appeal to, right? And when you realize that stuff like ESG and CEI basically has the entire corporate economy hostage, when you realize that firms like BlackRock for the past decade have been buying huge shares of influence in U.S. companies, you realize that the agenda here is not to sell products. I think they very much know that they are suiciding themselves, financially speaking, but what's actually happening here is that very wealthy liberal interests in the economy are now essentially just buying out corporations and holding them hostage. So anyways, again, folks, this is from my news hit an hour ago on Newsmax. I will play the interview and we will get into the rest of tonight's show. It is a good discussion with Rob Schmidt here.
All right, welcome back. You probably feel like the entire country is losing its mind. You're not alone. The politicians, teachers, even major corporations are all pushing an agenda that was very bizarre just a few years ago. Nike, Anheuser-Busch, Kate Spade, so many others fully indoctrinated by trans ideology. It's not happening by accident, though. While many companies and large corporations in this country are doing this, and they are led by virtue signaling big city liberals who don't mind it, they are all, in fact, being held at gunpoint by woke lobbying groups. The gay rights agenda has been seized by the militant trans agenda, which has escalated the fight for equality into what has effectively become a hostile takeover. Using the Corporate Equality Index, also known as CEI, the CEI score. It's a lesser-known part of the ESG, environmental, social, corporate governance. A company's CEI score is determined by the Human Rights Campaign, another very dangerous group, the largest LGBTQ lobbying group in the world, which of course gets millions of dollars from people like George Soros. Companies that obtain the maximum 100 total points earn the title of Best Place to Work for LGBTQ Equality, and of course that's used as leverage all the time. Points are deducted if the company supports any organization that advocates against the LGBTQ agenda and does not fulfill any of these components: workforce protection, inclusive benefits, corporate social responsibility, and advertising to LGBTQ customers, responsible citizenship as well. Here's how Bud Light's vice president defended her decision to destroy her own brand with trans virtue signaling.
This brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. Okay, what does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone. Bud Light had been kind of a brand of fratty, kind of out of touch humor, and it was really important that we had another approach.
Okay, sorry. By the way, the reason why Bud Light is going under is not because there is no longer demand for it in the youth. Trust me, I can confirm for a fact frat guys and frat culture is very much alive. The reason why Bud Light is dying is because it sucks. It's a terrible drink, and now that there are other competitors out there on the market, people are like, why would I drink the worst beer on earth? So that's the reason why Bud Light is dying. It's subject, there's some stadiums where people are stuck only with Bud Light, but nobody in the country is basically willingly drinking it, including the frat guys. So that's not the issue. Putting on a dress is not going to save Bud Light. But anyways.
Worried about a minimal customer base that they said was declining. Let's throw away the entire base and create something that nobody wants.
So
Great job by a marketing executive there. Vince Dow hosts a show all about cultural issues on YouTube, and he joins us now. Vince, good to see you. So far, more than 840 U.S. companies have racked up a pretty high CEI score, bowing to all.
By the way, I never noticed this. I shouldn't have done this, but I don't know why I was blinking so much. You watch, it's like I'm being held hostage. I'm literally being held hostage by ISIS in this clip. You can see in my blinking.
Of this. Basically, a shakedown is what it is. And if there's one thing that we do know, it's that massive companies run by mostly rich white people will sell this country out in a heartbeat if it means that they can be left alone to continue just making their money. This is kind of like BLM all over again.
Yeah, and I think this explains a lot why a company like Bud Light would do something so financially suicidal as to bring that character onto a brand that sells primarily to men, right? Because a lot of conservatives look at that like, what are they thinking? Go woke, go broke. They're going to go very broke. But this is the problem. What is happening in the modern corporate economy is not capitalism, right? Because capitalism assumes there's actually this free market here and you're trying to appeal to consumers. These people are not trying to appeal to consumers. They're trying to appeal to BlackRock and, like you said, this corporate equity index and, these very wealthy investors that over the past decade or so have essentially bought out significant shares in every major corporation and are now using that influence to just push this social agenda. And as an actual capitalist, people are very unable and powerless to stop it. And the question really arises, what do you do when firms like this and this corporate equity index controls essentially the entire corporate economy? It's very hard to compete. And so this might be a hot take for some of your viewers, Rob, but I think that, frankly, if the U.S. government in some way, hopefully when Republicans control it, do not step in and figure out some type of solution to this, I don't see how free market capitalism is going to survive at all.
I mean, I think we all assumed that somehow this insidious agenda was going to corrupt this country. I don't think we knew how it was going to happen, but collectivism, Marxism, whatever you want to call it, has found its way into every society that's ever existed, and this has been the holy grail because of all the wealth of this country, and they have figured out a way to get, everything that's being pushed right.
That's the thing. This is important. I don't really see a way out of this without somehow using the government. Oh, well, that's not capitalist. I don't care. What is capitalist about, BlackRock owning every corporation, essentially, and ESG owning every corporation? The government has to step in and ban all public and private practice of, obviously, ESG is probably easier to ban, but they also have to do something about, like I said, BlackRock in particular, that's a big firm, just buying out huge shares of corporations, and then they invest so much in the company that a company like Bud Light, just as an illustrated example, is no longer beholden to actual consumers. It's just trying to get investment from BlackRock, who has so much money. What do you do when, literally, the enemy has so much power at the top that they can buy out the whole economy? You got to do something about it.
Now, the world is, the country, I should say, is going insane at an incredible clip, and it's all pushing in one direction, and that's toward socialism, collectivism, whatever it is. And all of this is based on that. You're hearing the word equity all the time. There's a reason for that.
And isn't that the great irony of it, right? How are the Marxists taking over our country? It's through the guise of corporations, right? It's through the guise of what is an abuse of capitalism. Like I said, I don't think it is truly a free exercise of capitalism for very wealthy firms like BlackRock, for instance, to buy out just huge shares of American corporations. And instead of appealing to consumers, now they're appealing to BlackRock because they're like, we want you to keep on investing in it. So, it's not capitalism. It's crony capitalism, whatever you want to call it. But someone has to step in somehow and do something about this. We need to return to a true free market, not a market that's bought out by a corporate equity index and ESG.
Right, and the unholy alliance between government and those corporations as well is a huge part of it, and that oligarchy that's forming in this country. Vince Dow, good conversation. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. All right, so that was about an hour ago on Newsmax. Thank you to everyone who tuned in live. Thank you, Rob, for having me. We will get into the personal segments of the show tonight, but really quickly, I know we got a few super chats. Let me read them really quickly, and then we'll get into Mr. Beast and all the fun drama tonight, all right? But really quickly, Burgundy Blue for $5, thank you very much, says, do you believe that Mr. Beast is the Antichrist? He is charismatic, performed fake miracles, and is literally named Beast. Lol, I don't actually think this. I don't think Mr. Beast is the Antichrist, right? But I do think that there's an argument to be made that Mr. Beast is an Antichrist, right? The Bible says, obviously, there is the big Antichrist of Revelation, but it also says that many Antichrists will come, and I think Mr. Beast kind of as this secular philanthropist individual, as you can see, and there's an argument to be made. He is an Antichrist, right? He is an Antichrist figure. There are many like the real Antichrist before, you know what I mean? And that's what the Bible tells us is going to happen. And so I think there's an argument to be made. He could be an Antichrist. And who knows, maybe, I'm not saying that for sure. I don't know, maybe later in his life that all changes or whatever. But, it is... I can see it. I can see the argument. I don't think he's but he could be a one, right? All right. Aiden for $2 says Chandler is our most guy left. This is true. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think. I've had the Mr. Beast burgers. I'm pretty sure the Chandler style is the best burger from my recollection, I believe. So, there we go. He was always our guy. Thank you for the $2. And Frederick for $10. Thank you very much. Says BlackRock is buying up half of the real estate market too. Oh yeah, absolutely. Part of the reason you can't afford real estate right now, or it's so hard, it's not just... You look at the interest rates, you look at the prices, it's like, who's buying these homes? It's not regular American families. It's BlackRock, it's Bill Gates, it's some foreign investors, a lot of stuff on that front. Thank you for the $10, Frederick. And if you want to support tonight, as usual, feel free to send in a super chat. It is all appreciated, and I will read super chats after this segment. But all right, let's get into the actual news for tonight. We start with the tragic story of Chris from Mr. Beast. And you may have heard of this story already. I'm sure most of our viewers are familiar with Mr. Beast, but for our senior citizen audience, right, I'm sure we have some old people who are like, who is Mr. Beast? He's, I believe, the most famous YouTuber on earth. Okay, he makes all these charity videos, gives away stuff, blah, blah, blah. Point being, this is the most famous YouTuber on earth. This is a quite influential celebrity in just the world. Well, last week, Chris, who is one of the characters from Mr. Beast, came out as a transgender. or I believe the politically correct term is a 2S LGBT ABC Transformer Decepticon. I think that's the more politically correct term. Now, you may say, sorry, give me a second. Sips water there. I was coughing at the sight of this. Okay, that's what you see what you're doing, Chris. See how people feel? You're making people sick. Okay, now you may say, who cares? Like it's a bad thing, but a lot of people these days are becoming Transformer Decepticon people. What's the big deal, right? If it's not hurting anyone, then why do you care all that much, bro? The issue is, he is hurting people. As you see in the photo, Chris from Mr. Beast is a full-grown man with children. Chris is a father to, I believe, a 2-year-old son, which you're seeing an older photo of him in this picture. So we can say, let Chris do what he wants to do. But the thing is, Chris has a responsibility to other people. He has a son. He has a duty to that child. And what Chris is doing, and the reason I have such a big problem with this, besides just the standard, song and dance, is that Chris is abandoning his duty as a father, his duty as a man, and his duty to raise his son as a man in order to basically just play dress up. And that's why I find this situation important to talk about. And genuinely, I find this to be one of the more disgusting examples of the, trans agenda that we have seen, because there are direct victims of this thing besides obviously himself. Okay? Today, there is a son in the world who no longer has a father in his life. They may have a biological male parent, but that man is obviously not doing what a father should do. Today, a young boy looks up at what is supposed to be his father and simply sees a transvestite now calling himself a woman. I can't even imagine what that's like, especially at an age that young. That has to be unbelievably scarring and simply abhorrent to think about. Okay, and I don't care what anyone says. Oh, well, my dad, someone out there, my dad was transgender and I turned out just fine. Did you, though? I'm sorry, I hate to say it. No young boy can watch his father suddenly start calling himself a woman and not be traumatized, confused, and simply impacted by all of it. Of course, the left will cry self-liberation, right? They will applaud Chris for dropping his biological imperative and instead deciding to be trans and all that stuff. They will say, it is his right to be transgender if he wants to. Nobody should be able to stop that, blah, blah, blah. It's his rights, trans rights. Now, regardless of how you feel about the trans stuff in itself, and you know my thoughts on it, let's just actually respond to that take at face value, okay? So hot take, Chris, frankly, I feel trans. I feel like I want to be a woman. I don't care how you feel, and frankly, how you feel should not matter in this situation. You feel like a girl. You feel like this is what you want to do. Blah, blah, blah. Self-liberation. The thing is, there are more important things in your life than what you personally want. Your son, for one, and your duty to be a father to that son is actually more important than whatever is going on here, however you feel. It doesn't matter if you feel or not like being a father at the end of the day. You're still his father. You still have to take care of him, even if you don't feel like doing it, right? That's just life. That's your duties in life as a man, okay? Part of the sacrifice of having a family is that you don't actually get to practice this so-called, self-liberation, because you have responsibilities, you have duties beyond yourself, and those things supersede your own personal will. Your personal will is irrelevant. How you feel or want to feel is irrelevant. You have a young son at home, and your biological imperative to raise him into a man is more important than whatever personal mental health or identity crisis is going on here. And that may sound cruel and unforgiving, but so is nature, so is the world, so is the reality of being a man. Even if you personally feel like gender liberation is a good thing for Chris, which, again, you know how I feel about it. I know it is not that. Even if you think it is a good thing for him personally, even if you're relatively left-leaning on some of this Transformer stuff, How can you seriously still be okay with this? This is a grown man abandoning his fundamental natural duty to be a father to his son in order to live out what is frankly likely a twisted personal sexual fantasy of cross-dressing. Many such cases. That is not liberating. That is like, there's nothing good to be said about that. That is selfish. That is despicable. That is disgusting, and it should be reacted to as such. And frankly, I don't care if he quote unquote feels happier this way. Oh, he feels happier. Maybe this is a foreign concept to our society that's obviously so unbelievably self-centered, me. Life is all about you and nothing. You have no duty to anything beyond yourself. But, okay, let me just say, when you have children in a family, there are more important things on this earth than your own personal feelings and your own happiness, especially as a father. Maybe that's a radical take. Maybe that's a crazy take, okay? But it is actually your duty to put those things above yourself. And furthermore, I truly reject the idea that Chris feels quote-unquote happier. I mean, just look at this man and look at his transformation. Is this just him being happy? Compound that with the context of how this all happened and the knowledge that Chris from mrbeast, again, recently got divorced. And he just got out of his divorce. Do you see the story here? Do we see what's actually going on? This is actually a guy who is troubled. This is a guy who's probably under a lot of stress. He's going through this divorce. He's probably genuinely struggling with a lot of the pressure of the divorce and the pressure probably of being a father and having to be a man in this situation. And instead of giving him, frankly, the kick in the blank that he needs people, he does need people around him to tell him to get his blank together, right? Man up, do your job. Instead, society and culture, and a man who genuinely is probably going through something, right? He has problems, he has struggles. Instead of telling him, you have to figure out how to deal with them, your son is watching, like this is your duty. Instead, society encourages him to crack under that pressure and go into this manic episode of cross-dressing, and then is celebrating the manic episode currently happening. That is exactly what is going on here. Chris was not born this way. He developed these mental problems, likely situationally, and now this is a manifestation of all of that. Now, we are told so often that the Transformers they're just really born this way, right? And when a person comes out as Transformer, it's not a phase, it's not a confusion, it's not a Decepticon. They're just realizing who they truly are, who they've always truly been. And this is all, we're told this despite the fact that there has never been found any real genetic link to homosexuality or transgenderism. But come on, really, guys? You mean to tell me that a man, that this man in particular was actually, he's born a Transformer. He's always been like this. He's always wanted to be a girl. And it was only after getting married, having kids, being a man all his life, and then a conveniently timed a divorce that his genetics kicked in at 26 years old, and suddenly he became a Transformer overnight. But he was always like this. It's a genetic condition that people can't control or don't make a choice of in any way. Does anyone seriously believe that? Like, actually? Because that is ridiculous. What is happening here clearly is a manifestation of some degree of mental problems and perhaps mental illness. This is, and I genuinely feel for him in this way, this is a deeply troubled man. And instead of someone stepping in and genuinely helping him, and in this case, someone needs to help him with strength, right? Tell him, listen, it's hard. Life sucks. I get it, but you're a father. You have to step up and be a man for your son. Instead of someone genuinely helping him, we're all supposed to clap and cheer at this episode of instability while a young baby boy sits here and watches all of that. I'm not going to stand for it, especially when Chris's 2-year-old son is internalizing all of this. So Chris, you need to snap out of it. If you have problems you need to deal with, you cannot hide behind them and address, okay? You cannot retreat into just inverting your gender and, Autobot transforming, okay? You need to be a man. Take them out in the gym, find God, whatever it is, but this is not the answer. All right, and I'm not going to stand for this. You shouldn't stand for this, and really, people shouldn't turn a blind eye to this either. It is actually quite an important thing because there's a son again in the mix, and who knows how many people out there who are influenced because Mr. Beast and Chris obviously are very culturally influential. But all right. That's the Mr. Beast story. Before we go on to our next story, let me check how many likes we are at. We're at 83 likes. Let's get it to 100 likes. And let me check for any super chats here. I believe we got a few. Dollar for $5. Thank you very much. Said, how to join the dark side. My gym is closing and I had to get a new gym. Going Planet Fitness mode. Bro. Are you for real? No, you're better off working out at home, dollar for dollar. Just kidding. Is there no other gym around where you live than Planet Fitness? Come on, man. Thank you for the $5, but there's gotta be another way. Okay, we'll figure this out. We'll consult. There has to be a way out. Okay, there has to be a way out. All right, your gym closing, tragic. Someone can open a new gym. Okay. Pull out that membership. We're gonna figure it out, okay? Don't lock into any subscription, whatever, okay? I think I don't know this dollar for dollar. I think there has to be another way out. Thank you for the $5, appreciated. Hate to hear the sad news, but we got to get you out, okay? Can we get free dollar for dollars in chat? Free him from the purgatory of Planet Fitness. So true. Thank you for the $5, dollar for dollar. Burgundy Blue for $2 says, isn't Chris threatening to sue a guy on Twitter? That is correct. I did not include that, but he is threatening now to sue people who did not say anything defamatory. They simply kind of criticize. See, to defame is to lie. Criticizing what someone does, criticizing someone's gender transition, that is obviously not defamation. That is free speech. But yes, he's threatening to sue people who criticize the gender transition. Okay, so. Clearly this guy is mentally unstable, okay? But like I said, instead of reining in this manic episode, which you can do, there are ways to do that. Instead, what is the solution to, to respect his identity? No, you have a son at home. Thank you for the $2, Burgundy Blue. And we got $5 here from Burgundy Blue. Vince, I know we love dunking on public celebrities who turn trans. Again, it's Transformer. Get that right. 2S LGBT ABCDEFG Transformer. But in all seriousness, what could we do to convince him to change back for his sake? Well, he needs influences in his own life. It is very hard. We can pray for him. That's what we can do. But obviously making this content on the internet's probably not going to change things. He needs people in his own life, or hopefully we can pray for just direct revelation. But he needs influences in his own life that will step in and say something. But instead, you see private text messages from Mr. Beast, which leaked. I'm not like whatever. But basically saying, oh, well, we need to all respect this, blah, blah, blah. I know it's weird. Even Mr. Beast is saying, like, I know it's weird in the text messages, and he's not the most comfortable with it, but, you can never criticize Transformer Decepticons. They are the most protected group nowadays in society, and so, someone brave in his inner circle who knows it's weird needs to step in and hopefully have some type of counseling on that front. And maybe that'll bring him, if not bring him to God, at least bring him away from whatever's happening right now. Dollar for $2. Thank you very much. Says it is a judgment-free zone and they have pizza. Yeah, eat pizza while you're working out. Because that's how it works, right? Okay. It's a judgment-free zone. I have a feeling, dollar for dollar, I have a feeling that Planet Fitness is probably the most judgmental gym on the planet, right? Because this is a judgment-free. What that means is, we're scared of like the big buff bodybuilder guys who, but I mean, let's be honest. Most of those big buff bodybuilder dudes, they're actually the least judgmental people in the entire gym. Now, they will get judgmental if you're like hogging the machine or going on your phone the whole time, but that's your fault. Everyone should judge you for that. But, for the most part, I think actually the people who have started the grind or have been successful at the grind, they had to start somewhere, and I think those people were actually the most respecting of the person just starting off, or the weak person who's getting in the gym. I think actually the strongest dudes out there are the coolest about that and respect that. It is probably in many ways the type of crowd that hangs around Planet Fitness that's actually probably more judgmental. Oh my God, and then think about this. The woman, okay, the chicks who work out, am I not supposed to say chicks? Okay, sorry, they are young women, okay. Well, actually, what is a woman? So, anyways, you know, they're the ones who are like, you stared at me, you looked at me for 1 second, let me make a TikTok. So I don't know. I want to have a study on this. Is Planet Fitness truly a judgment-free zone? I actually don't believe it at all whatsoever. $2 for $2. Thank you very much. Says judgment-free unless you're me or greater. It's so true. Thank you for the $2 dollar for dollar. All right. If you want to support tonight, feel free to send in a super chat. I will have one more story for you tonight, and then we will go on to Q&A. So if you want to send in questions, especially now, or comments to be read as super chats, feel free to send them in now. The support is all greatly appreciated, and I will get to them in a second after this next story. But let's move on here, folks. Thank you for all the support. God bless you guys tonight. In other news, there was a big UFC fight this weekend in Miami. I believe it was Miami. It was somewhere in Florida. And President Donald Trump was in attendance. Here were some of the sights and sounds from the UFC event this weekend. So you kind of get the vibe of this event, right? It's very kind of just white pilling to see culturally. Now, we got some crossovers this weekend I thought we would never see. Some of the most famous YouTubers on the planet and streamers, and I don't mean political people, okay? I'm not talking about Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, whatever. I'm talking about like normal YouTubers. Actually ended up meeting Donald Trump. And this has cultural implications in a way I'll explain in a second. Now, I'm probably going to have to give, just like mrbeast, I'm probably going to have to give descriptions for all of our older viewers, the older people who don't know what's happening. They've been confused this entire episode, haven't they? Who's Chris? Who's mrbeast? Who are the people we're about to... So I'm going to give a short bio for every person, so that way, you know, but just so you know, older people, okay? Basically, these are influencers out there that are very popular with Gen Z. They're very well known among the youths. Okay. So first off, here are people we do know. There's him with Dana White, Kid Rock, Mike Tyson, which that one's pretty cool. So everyone knows them, but it is a cool photo. And let's face it, looking at a picture like this, let's be completely real. No political figure for centuries to come will ever be as cool as Donald Trump. Okay? I mean, the DeSantis heads can get mad at that, but whatever. It's true. I don't know what to tell you. Okay? Can name me any political figure for decades past, decades future that's going to be this cool. That is cool. But anyways, not the point here. Here is Donald Trump with Sneeko. He met Aiden Ross. They're pretty big streamers for people. So that was iconic. And here he is with Jidion. Which was hilarious and unexpected. Interesting shirt, by the way, by Jidion's part. But Jidion is a very big prank YouTuber for our older people. But there they are, which is really funny because I always thought Jidion was a liberal. I think he still is, but he did get banned from Twitch, and now he has a Rumble deal, so maybe there's something to that. I don't know. Now, this is all cool and kind of funny, but why am I making it a story tonight, besides the fact that it gets clicks because big YouTubers are in the title? Well, I say all of this because the influencer Donald Trump crossover, maybe not Jidion, but I just kind of use it as an example, is important for 2024 and the future of Republican politics in general. Because we contrast all of this that you saw with an announcement this week that the Biden administration is looking to set up basically an army of their own social media influencers, which may even get their own briefing room in the White House, apparently. There is no greater symptom of a dying republic than that, as you see Disclosed TV reporting. They're going to give an entire White House briefing room to TikTokers. Our younger generations are truly lost, man. Truly lost, man. I don't know what to say no more, man. I think that's a quote from Aristotle. But yeah, okay, here they are creating a TikTok army to target young influencers. We've seen the Biden team flirt with this idea before. They did it a lot during Corona. You remember Olivia Rodrigo, that whole thing? There are a lot of TikTokers out there who were sponsored by Pfizer. Well, here they are. It's now official, setting up their team of TikTok influencers to push Gen Z in their direction. Now, it's easy to laugh at that or brush it off, and I'm sure a lot of people will, but that would be a big mistake in my opinion. In my opinion, this is actually quite genius what they are doing, and it could show to be very effective. Young voters, as we know, are a growing share of the electorate. There is no better way to engage them than, getting the people who they look up to engage in politics themselves. And especially nowadays, where the current system of elections, as we're very familiar with, is really just a turnout game, right? With all the mail-in voting and, early voting, all that stuff. Really, how you win elections is by turnout. You turn out everyone who could possibly maybe be sympathetic to you. And this is especially the case. And furthermore, whether or not we want to recognize it, the internet is now an unmatched force. I think it's actually past TV in its ability to monumentally shift the culture. In the past few years, we have seen entire movements from BLM to Andrew Tate to Turning Point USA, whatever it is, all these very diverse on all different sides, entirely grow off of social media. This is all to say the following. I do not work for the Trump campaign, but if I did, I would immediately start working on a counter for Biden's social media blitz. And anyone who potentially is watching this that has any tie to anything in the GOP, listen up. This is free advice, okay? What I would do if I were Donald Trump and his team is I would immediately start contacting influencers for myself. And I don't mean Mike Lindell. I don't mean the brick suit guy or Vince Dow or whatever, okay? We are political people. We engage for the most part with people who already vote in the elections. You, watching this stream, probably already voted in the last election, if you're old enough, right? What I mean is reach out to the mainstream cultural figures who are sympathetic to Trump and right-wing ideas and establish some type of relationship. The first place I can think of is maybe country music, right? I know we have a lot of woke, idiot country music singers, but still there are many, Jason Aldean comes to mind, who openly espouse Trump, support for Trump and conservatism. And most importantly, the audience of country music. Almost all country music fans would vote Republican if you put a ballot in front of them. They are natural conservatives. They're natural Republicans. But not all country music fans vote in every election. So why does the Republican Party not use country singers in the same way Democrats use pop singers and all of that, especially considering nowadays, like I said, the way to win elections is through turnout. It's all about turnout, turnout, turnout. Who can we get to throw as many ballots at the system as possible? Oh, random inner city homeless moron, give me your ballot. We're going to go vote for you. That's how. So if they're doing that and they're using people like that to do that, why don't we do that? Because we don't think ahead. We don't think intuitively, I suppose. And regarding Gen Z, we often talk about how liberal the youth are, and this is largely true. But there is also a significant and growing Gen Z counterculture that is noticeably anti-leftist. Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson come to mind. Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson are very popular and influential among young men. I think a lot of people underestimate how many young men out there actually watch them and like them. And their followers would probably vote 95% Republican if you handed all of them a ballot. But how many fans of them are voting? How many fans of the red pill manosphere space are voting? How many fans of Pearl Davis, Fresh and Fit, the whatever podcast, Sneeko, whatever. How many of these guys vote? How many frat guys out there are voting? There are many actually target demographics, especially among young men, that we could engage and would vote Republican, but almost none of them. And the GOP makes very little effort to reach these people through influencers. The Democrats are doing this on their side, and so they're having, I don't know, James Charles going to talk about go vote for Biden. Okay, then why isn't Myron from Fresh and Fit saying go vote for Trump? You see what I'm saying here, right? So if I were on the Trump team, free advice, this is what I would do. I would immediately reach out to all of these mainstream TikTokers, streamers, red pill people, whatever, who are just sympathetic to me, okay? Nelk Boys, No Jumper, all the red pill people, anyone we can get, okay? These people need to be interviewing Donald Trump, which I think they would like to do. That's views. And also, I think these people need to be, in some way, if they're willing, plugged into the campaign and paid to have a professional relationship the same way Biden is trying to do for his side. I'm telling you, these people are very influential. I would not underestimate the impact they had if they were truly involved with the campaign and not just simply saying occasionally, yeah, Trump was cool, but, and then the viewers will watch. Yeah, I agree Trump was cool. But they're not registered to vote. They're not passionate about politics. You see the issue? Furthermore, second thing I would do, I would hire a highly talented team of editors to flood TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, all of that stuff, all that short form content stuff that you probably browse and are addicted to all day. Me too, right? With Donald Trump red pill like Sigma style edits. You know what I'm talking about? You see them on the shorts all the time. You see the clips, right? They're all HDR'd. They have the music. You know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? Because here's the thing. Classic political ads are great. They're fine. But and they work in some mediums, but they're not the way to take over the internet these days. Think about how Andrew Tate took over the internet. Think about the Whatever podcast. Think about all these viral clips that you just see everywhere. Those short form red pill style edits can genuinely take over the internet if you flood the algorithms with a bunch of them. No political candidate thus far has thought of a way to weaponize that or do that for themselves. So again, free advice. Vince Dow thinks of it. Whatever. Take it. Okay. Whoever you know, Trump campaign, take this advice. Start doing that. Start flooding the internet, in the same way. Make all these affiliate pages. You'll see what I'm talking about if you scroll the shorts feed. This is exactly what I would do if I was Trump. I would either hire an army of editors to do it, or I would just pay all these different red pill pages that already exist to post and make the edits for me. However you do it, I'm telling you, this is the move. This is the strategy. And this is how Donald Trump can reconquer essentially the internet. Because I'm very tapped into the red pill stuff that's all my YouTube shorts feed is these days, right? Is all that stuff. I see occasionally they'll make this Donald Trump Sigma edit, but most of the time, like, who is it, right? It's Fresh and Fit or Tate or Peterson, whatever. If you flooded the internet with Donald Trump content, and by the way, Donald Trump is a just personality who's very conducive to the Sigma male edits. If you flood the internet like that, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised as to what it does. I should really be a political consultant, shouldn't I? People need to listen to this. All right. Well, that wraps up our stories for tonight. I did have one rant. We might save it for a later show. But I had let's just say it really quickly, and then we'll get into Super Chat. So if you Q&A time in a second, so I'm going to catch up. I know Zachary said I missed this Super Chat. I will catch up with that. Thank you, Zachary. Sorry, I missed it in the thing. But yeah, Q&A session. So feel free to send in any Super Chats you have here. But really quickly, I got to pull this up. I wrote this down today. So if you're plugged into the more esoteric Vince Dow lore, you will know I've had this crusade for a while against cyclists, okay? Just people riding their stupid bicycles all over the place. And it's for two reasons. Number one, the whole cyclist movement is actually left-wing in a sense, because it is part of the progressive push for walkable cities. You might hear about this all the time. Oh, we want cities that are like Europe, where it's all walkable and open and all. You've heard that whole thing. So that's the reason. But really, the primary reason why I'm always out here dogging on cyclists, attacking people on bicycles, because I go to college, okay? So, I go to college, and these people are a terror. They are a terror because, they have no etiquette. They swerve in between. They hit people sometimes. But most importantly, they think that because they are on those bicycles, they are above traffic law, okay? And I've been talking about this stuff for a while. But I wrote this down. I wrote down the statistics today, okay? I wrote this down, all right? So this morning when I was walking to class in college, which is about a 20-minute walk, in the span of 20 minutes, I witnessed the following. I saw one bicycle run a stop sign into active traffic. Okay? And it was not even a straight way. He was like turning left. Just totally ran the stop sign on the street. Totally ran the stop sign. I saw that. I saw two of them refusing to yield to pedestrians. That pedestrian was me. I'm here about to cross, right? The bus and the cars have stopped for me, but I see these two bicycles coming. Guess what? They don't stop. They just keep going. They're in the bike lane. Oh, I'm on a bicycle. I guess traffic law. So I watched two in a row not yield to pedestrians. And then I saw one. This guy is swerving. The sidewalk is super crowded. He's swerving in between everyone. There's an empty bike lane right next to him. This road is totally empty. There's a bike lane right next to him he can use. He's here swerving in between all the pedestrians. They're moving out the way, all this stuff. All this in the span of minutes. all from people on bicycles. Okay, so I tweeted this out, and it is very true. You are not above traffic law because you are on a bike. I cannot stand these people. Piss me off, and they look so stupid. Their stupid little helmet. Shing, shing, shing. You're not above the traffic law. Okay, you're a terror to me as a pedestrian, and you're also a terror on the road because when I'm driving and I have to deal with your stupid bikes, you're also quite annoying. And so, quite frankly, my new declaration here. Okay, when I am in charge, folks, when I am in charge, we are abolishing all speed traps. Okay, cops sitting on the interstate just, hey, you're going 85, you can't do that. Stupid. We're abolishing the speed limit to begin with, whatever. But we're getting rid of that. And what are we going to do with all the traffic cops? How are we going to make money? I got it, okay? Instead of patrolling the highways, we're going to patrol everywhere where there's bicyclists, and we're just going to use them to harass cyclists, and also we'll add scooterists. I don't like the people on scooters either, okay? Everyone on a bicycle and a scooter, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. We're going to use the traffic police to patrol, okay? Every time you run a stop sign, because that's freaking annoying too. As a driver, oh, I'm on a bike, I got to run a stop sign, I have to yield to the car. It is dang annoying, okay? So we're just gonna have them, the police are all gonna sit there, they're gonna harass, okay? They're gonna straight up screw your civil rights, screw your constitutional liberties. We are going to make up offenses, okay? We're gonna stretch the law a little bit just for you cyclists, okay? The slightest infractions of you not following traffic laws on your bicycle will be punished harshly. Cannot stand these people, okay? Many such cases. You're again, not above the law because you're on a bicycle. Very annoying. Okay, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we will get into the super chats tonight. I wrote that down. I was so stunned. Like, in the span of one walk to class, how do you witness that many jerk cyclists? I can run a stop sign into an oncoming bus. I'm on a bicycle. I'm even though I'm on the street, I don't have to follow traffic law. And then these cops, you know, I've never seen a bicyclist get pulled over for that, but me, oh, Vince, you can't drive 95 on the interstate even though there's no one around. No. Just kidding. I've never gotten a speeding ticket because I have a radar detector. But still, pisses me off. Truly pisses me off. All right, let's get into super chats tonight. If you have a question or comment that you want to be read, we have 13 minutes here, so we're a little short on time, so be sure to send that in now so I can get to all of them. But the Pigeon Slayer for $5, thank you very much, says, what is the latest on Yay 24? Well, for as I predicted, and people were like, no, he's a serious political candidate. All indications seem to show that Yay 24 has completely fallen apart. He's fired everyone that was around him. They're not let me say this, any political figure who claims to still be working for Kanye's campaign, that's not real. And it's becoming increasingly transparently clear that's not real. And you know, he married that girl, and now he's just totally gone off the grid, nothing to do with politics, and now he's getting back into the Adidas deal, so that seems to indicate he's done with all that, you know, edgy politics stuff. So yeah, that's the latest on Yay 24, and even by the accounts of associates within the campaign formerly, they are also saying, yeah, it's done, it's been done, and anyone claiming it's not done is completely lying. So there's a status on Yay 24, and you know, his people, you know who can cope. Oh no, he's actually running wrong. Okay. We'll see about that, buddy. Burgundy Blue for $2. Thank you very much. Says, we truly live in a society. Joker. Clown emoji. Joker. So true. So true, Burgundy Blue. Thank you very much for the $2. We live in a society where just dudes who want to drive their car fast, like myself, we're among the most persecuted people in society. We are the most persecuted minority group in society when you think about it. What other group in America has systematic people, cops set up at systematic points just to target us and persecute us? I can't think of one. It is us. It is us, the people who drive our cars like normal human beings. Oh no, you drive the speed limit. Many such cases. But of course, I always follow the speed limit. I'm just saying, right? Okay. Dollar for $2 says, try to get the truck driving Mexicans to vote Trump. That's one way to put it, dollar for dollar. But, you know, this is true. A lot of truck drivers in general. And then, you know, I think even like minority truck drivers, you think, well, most minorities don't vote Republican. Yeah, but then who are all their coworkers? Who are all their friends? You're very generic, truck driving white guy. So I think just a lot of blue collar jobs in general, especially truck drivers, just get their ballots. Get their ballots somehow. How many truck drivers out there in general do you think vote that often? They would all vote for Trump. 99% of truck drivers, I would imagine. But think about their life, right? They're on the road. They're not home all the time. They may be in Illinois and another state when election day is happening. It is something very interesting to think about. It truly is. And I don't know. I mean, if there's a way to get them all to vote, that's numbers. We need numbers. That's how the elections work these days. You need to turn out everyone you can get. Anyone who might vote for you, turn them out. So, all right. Thank you for the $2 dollar for dollar. If you want to support, we got 10 minutes left here. Any last super chats, questions, and comments? I'm going to try to speed run some of these so we can get to all of them. But dollar for $2. Thank you very much. Says, remember when Lil Pump and Lil Wayne went for Dawn? True. But then what happened? Like, what ended up happening after that, right? We got to get them back in the loop. We got to get them back in the circles here, all right? So thank you for the $2. Burgundy Blue for $5 says, oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me, and I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Vince Dow, country singer 2023. So true. I will learn to play the banjo. I'm just kidding. The banjo looks so hard. It looks very hard. But I think it technically a form of the banjo is in my heritage, right? Because there's like a Vietnamese folk banjo. Have you ever heard of it? They play it on the river. So we could do a cultural crossover there. Thank you for the $5, Burgundy Blue. So real. All right, we got some bigger ones here. Christopher for $20. Thank you very much, Christopher. Big donation says, I think the age of enlightenment is the worst thing to ever happen to the West. The era that gave us secularism, narcissism, and science worship, communism, and eugenics. It destroys the traditional social orders and the church. Thank you for the $20, Christopher. I appreciate it. It is very true. But you know what else is very interesting about it? Is if you look at the time period where the Enlightenment and those type of ideas sort of grew and came to be, they actually came to be during periods where European Western civilization was doing quite well, right? When they were colonizing everything, 1700s, 1800s, there's a lot of power, the empires were amassing, and life was actually getting easier, life was getting good. And so it's an interesting reflection of human nature, because you kind of see the same thing happening now. It is actually during bad times and hard times that people come together and become strong and create like real solutions and come up with real ideas. In comparison, it is when things are easy that people start coming up with stupid ideas and start thinking, oh, we can liberate ourselves from the natural order that built all of this around us. And so it's interesting how you see that cycle repeat, right? Because with the Enlightenment, and especially like the second phase of the Enlightenment, where, like you said, Marxism and all that type of stuff was born, that all came at a time when the Europeans were doing well, right? Western civilization was doing well. All these empires were at their peak. What do you see here in the United States? It is the 1960s or so when this stuff really started to become out in the public eye. And what was that? That was right after we won World War II. With the superpower of the world, everything was getting good, consumerism, things, and then what happens, right? It is cliche, but very true. The whole weak men create hard times, that whole circle. Thank you for the $20 big donation there from Christopher. Dollar for $2 says left-handed people are the most persecuted. Are you left-handed, dollar for dollar? Would I trust a left-handed pilot? I don't know. But we got Colton Smith for $69.99 Canadian dollars. Huge donation from Colton Smith. Everyone give a round of applause in chat for Colton Smith. Thank you very much, man. God bless you. I don't know exactly how many US dollars that is, but that is a huge donation from Colton Smith. Appreciate it very much. God bless you, man. Says, keep up the amazing content. I just got off work. We love to see it. Look at that. Look at that. My viewers have jobs. My viewers are making money. We love to see it. Let's get to 150 likes, by the way. We love to see it, but just got off your real work and saw your stream. Also, have you figured out how to make the Shut Up Nerd merch yet and stickers not seem nerdy yet? Thank you for the 70 Canadian, or let me say 69.99 Canadian dollars, Colton. I have not, but if anyone in the fan base wants to, that is experienced with graphic design, don't have some random guy, oh, you used Canva once and you're like, oh, look what I made. It probably looks bad, dude, okay? But anyone who's genuinely experienced with graphic design, you want to try to tackle this question. How do you make Shut Up Nerd merch look actually not nerdy in itself? Open season. I don't know. Tag me on Instagram, email me, whatever it is. We will figure this out. Thank you for the 69.99 Canadian, Colton. And, hopefully we can put the money back in. We will reinvest it. We will get a Save Colton from Canada fund. We will bring him over into this country and save him from the communist authoritarian dictatorship of Justin Trudeau. Thank you for the 69.99 Canadian, Colton Smith. Isaac for $10. Thank you very much, Isaac. God bless you. God bless you, Colton. Says truckers spend all day listening to talk radio. They are informed. It's the single largest job by corporations. And Biden's Department of Transportation just put a massive roadblock for getting new drivers on the road. Look it up. Thank you for the $10, Isaac. I don't know if that's your first super chat. If it is, thank you. I've heard about that because I think it was Zachary, which I forgot his super chat. Let me see if I can actually find it. It's so over. Zachary, I lost your super chat in the chat. I remember what it said. It said something about the Transformers. So true, Zachary. So true. I don't remember I vaguely remember seeing what it kind of said. Thank you for the $5, Zachary. Sorry about that. I missed that. I'll try to go back and look and maybe talk about it next stream or whatever. But yes, this is true. And I remember someone in chat a few days ago was talking about how they want to be a truck driver and now it's like super hard to do. And I'm sure they see the price of diesel and that hurts their paycheck, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, absolutely. Truck drivers do vote very Republican, but I just don't know how many of them vote. I'm sure there are masses there that we've not turned out because you notice the Republicans don't really have any mass voting turnout initiatives. Do you guys ever notice that? Right? You guys notice that? Like Democrats have all these get out the vote. Like they're very good at that whole game, right? They do that whole thing. Republicans don't really have anything like that. Historically, we've not needed anything like that because, the elections were not based on turnout like they are now, but now they are, and so that's what we got to do. Thank you for the $10, Isaac. Appreciate it. Let me get to all the last super chats here. We got 3 minutes left. Can we speed run these? Any last things you want to send them in now? We're closing out the bar. Enclave Nationalist for $2 says, search up Bellamy salute. I'm going to do that off stream for you, Enclave. Okay. Thank you for the $2. Fed posting as usual. Canadian $10 from Andrew M. Appreciate it. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you've been well. Says hope you're doing well. I would love to join you guys one day and leave this communist country under Justin Trudeau. Thank you for the 10 Canadian, Andrew M. It's so true. We got all these illegals. We got all these tech workers who don't even like the country. Why can't we get a visa for Andrew M and for Colton and all the base Canadians who to a degree I feel bad because I can tell you guys are so demoralized by your own politics that you just sit around and watch American streams and are fans of American content creators, and I feel bad. Let's just all the mass immigration, stop all of that. Import Alberta. It's actually just annex Alberta, Canada. That's our population growth. That's what we need to do. And then Andrew M can move to Alberta. Colton can move to Alberta. And that's what we got to do. Thank you for the 10 Canadian, Andrew M. Appreciate it. Let's get to our last super chats here. My mom has owned an embroidery and screen printing business for 22 years. And she can come up with a million different shut up nerd designs. Thank you for the $5, dollar for dollar. I appreciate it. And actually, let's be in touch because even besides that, I do want to start off a clothing line of some sort. I haven't talked about it yet, but I'll let you guys know more about that soon. I'm thinking of starting like not just merch. We have merch. I could improve the merch, but I'm thinking of starting like a totally independent kind of like patriotic conservative themed clothing line. I'll let you guys know more about that as we go, but that's an idea we're floating around right now. All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up tonight's show. Actually, one last Colton Smith for $13.99 Canadian says Vince for president. Last super chat here. Appreciate it, Colton Smith. God bless you. Free this man from Canada. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. Remember to leave a like on the stream before you go, and I will see you guys. Actually, the show will be pre-recorded tomorrow, but we'll do a show tomorrow, and I'll see you guys. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, leave a like. Alpha moves only. God bless everyone. Have a very good night, and peace. Thank you for the super chat, Jonathan. I appreciate it. God bless you too.